I'm going to talk a little bit about what we call grouping symbols. Grouping symbols help us in the way we operate with the numbers. So their parentheses are usually the first grouping symbols we use, like that. And then if we need more than parentheses, we'll go to square brackets, like this. And if we need even more than that, then we will go to, my students call them squiggly brackets. They're called braces, though. So we have those three main grouping symbols, but there are other grouping symbols as well. Absolute value is a type of grouping symbol. It says you're going to do whatever's inside, whatever operations are inside the absolute value first before you do the absolute value part. And the same with the parentheses and the brackets and the braces. You're doing what's inside them first, okay? Another type of grouping symbol can be the division bar. You might have something like 5 plus 7 over 1 plus 2. And what that's saying is, work out the top, then work out the bottom. That's that natural grouping telling you to do that. And now you can do the division, which would be, in this case, it'd be 4. And that's a little example for you of how the division bar could be a grouping symbol. Okay, so we have an example here. It says simplify, and this is a numeric expression. And so what we want to do is we want to follow the order of operations, but we also have to take into account the grouping symbols. So what we do is we see two grouping symbols here. We see absolute value. So there's the absolute value bar and the other one's over here. So that's absolute value. Absolute value. And then we also see parentheses, right? So the parentheses, there and there, parentheses. The parentheses are inside the absolute value, so we're going to go inside the absolute value, that grouping symbol, and we're going to go right to those parentheses, and we're going to do that first. So we're going to recopy everything that we're not doing. So we'll say 19 minus absolute value, 11 minus 4. Now I'm going to keep the parentheses because I need to indicate multiplication. You could use the dot for multiplication if you wanted to, but I'm going to put this as times 2 because I want to indicate that that multiplication is still going on. Now where did the 2 come from? That was the 3 minus 1. So I'm doing this part here, inside the parentheses. I'm doing that first. Now I'm going to look inside my absolute values, and I want to make my absolute values just a little bit longer so we can see those. You don't want it to think they're ones, or it's a little hard to type, but hopefully it's clear. So now I'm looking just inside the absolute value part, and I want to do whatever operations would come first in the order of operations. So think back to the order of operations. What comes first? Not subtraction, multiplication. So we're going to rewrite 19 minus absolute value, 11 minus, and now I'm going to actually do the operation here. Now notice that I'm recopying everything just as is. That's really important to do, so you want to make sure that you don't get confused in the writing. So it's going to be 11 minus 4 times 2 is 8. So I've replaced that part right here, that multiplication part, with an 8. Okay, now I still have to work inside the absolute value because it's a grouping symbol, so I still have to work in there. And there's subtraction, so I'm going to go 19 minus the absolute value of, and it's going to be, it's not very exciting, but it's just going to be a 3. So I did this part right here, 11 minus 8, and I got 3. All right, now I have to apply the absolute value part. And that's the part that's not very exciting because the absolute value of 3 is just going to be 3. So I'm going to have 19 minus, and then I'm going to get 3 here. Now I'm doing it in a different color because I want you to recognize that I'm taking the absolute value of 3. It just happens to still be 3. Okay, but now I'm down to just the last step here, the subtraction. What's 19 minus 3? 16. And we're done. Okay.